Clara had always been alone in the old house her parents left her. One night, while reading in her room, she heard a soft knock at the door. It came again, followed by a faint voice. "Clara, are you in there?" Her heart raced. No one was supposed to be here. She hesitated, then opened the door. The hallway was empty. The door to her parents' room creaked open across the hall, and an icy chill swept through the house. She hadn't entered that room since their passing, but now it felt like it was calling her. Reluctantly, she stepped inside. The air was freezing, the room dim, as though a storm had blocked out the sun. At the window stood a figure, her mother, facing away. "Who's there?" Clara's voice trembled. The figure turned slowly. It was her mother, but her eyes were hollow, her mouth open as if to speak. The air grew colder. Then a whisper, as if from everywhere, echoed, "You shouldn't have opened the door." Clara stumbled backward. The door slammed shut behind her. Couldn't shake the image of her mother's hollow eyes. The whisper echoed in her mind as she stumbled back to her room. She tried to convince herself it was just a dream, but the chill in the air was undeniable. That night, as she lay in bed, another knock came. Soft at first, then louder. It wasn't from the door. It came from inside the room. Clara froze, her breath shallow. The room grew colder, the shadows deepening. She turned her head slowly and saw the same figure, her mother, standing in the doorway, just out of the light. This time her mother's mouth moved, but no sound came out. Clara bolted upright. "Why are you here?" she whispered, terrified. The figure stepped closer, and as it did, Clara felt a growing pressure in her chest, as if something heavy was pressing down on her heart. The whisper returned, this time clearer. "You never should have been alone." Clara's room began to feel smaller, suffocating. Her mother reached out a hand, her fingers pale and cold. Clara screamed as the door slammed shut. Clara's chest tightened as the house seemed to breathe around her. The whispers were a constant, gnawing hum in her ears. She couldn't escape. The walls shifted, narrowing the hallway, trapping her in the same nightmare. A shadow loomed before her, her mother. But her face was distorted, twisted with a horrific grin, eyes wide with dark emptiness. "Clara!" The voice was low, unnatural, and it made Clara's skin crawl. Clara turned to run, but her feet were frozen to the floor. The air grew heavier, suffocating, as if the house itself had claimed her. Suddenly, the figure stepped closer, its skeletal hand reaching for her. The whispers came again, louder now. "You belong here." Clara's eyes darted around. The walls were closing in. The figure loomed closer, its hand brushing against her cheek. "You should never have left." Clara's breath came in ragged gasps, her mind spinning. The whispers were deafening now, like 1,000 voices echoing in her skull. She tried to move, but her limbs felt numb, as if the house itself was holding her captive. The figure of her mother loomed in front of her, closer than ever. Her face was no longer just twisted. It was decaying. Her skin pulled tight over her bones. Her eyes were black, hollow, and endless. "You're mine now, Clara," the figure rasped, its voice an unnatural blend of her mother's and something darker. Clara's pulse quickened. She had to escape. The door. She ran toward it, her feet dragging, the shadows reaching for her. As she touched the door's handle, it felt icy cold. The air thickened. With one desperate twist, she pulled the door open, but it wasn't the hallway she had seen before. Instead, it was an endless void, dark, suffocating. The figure reached out, its fingers brushing her skin, cold as death. "You can't leave, Clara. You're part of this place now." The door slammed shut behind her, the sound echoing like a final warning. She was trapped, caught between the living and the dead, in a house that would never. Clara's heart pounded in her chest. She pressed her back against the door, but the shadows around her continued to stretch, twisting like sentient creatures. The house seemed to pulse with an energy she couldn't escape. The figure of her mother was gone, but the whispers filled the room, soft and insistent. "You belong to us now, Clara." Clara's breath quickened. She couldn't understand. She had tried to escape, tried to run, but it felt like the house itself was mocking her, playing with her, ensuring she would never leave. The temperature dropped, frost forming along the edges of the walls. She looked around, frantically searching for any way out. And then she saw it. A narrow crack in the floor, like a dark hole, pulling her attention. It wasn't much, but it was her only chance. She knelt and crawled toward it, her body shaking with fear. But as soon as her hand touched the crack, the floor snapped shut, trapping her again. The whispers grew louder, more urgent. "You can't escape. You're ours, Clara." Suddenly she realized the truth. It wasn't just the house that held her, it was her. She had been part of it all along, and now there was no way out. The door in front of her creaked open, but she didn't dare move.